retraite ministérielle.
And high delegates, Your Excellency Azali Assoumani, President of Comoros Union and the President of the African Union, ladies and gentlemen, ministers, dear ministers, Secretary General of Africa Free Trade Area, ladies and gentlemen, I am happy in this presidential briefing and of the opening of this ministerial retreat in Nairobi, here in Kenya. And I thank the spirit of democracy that has allowed dear brother Ruto, your leader that you elected, the president of this beautiful country. I seize this opportunity to renew my warm congratulations to you, sir. And I am happy of that June 1st, your country will be celebrating 60th anniversary to its accession to international sovereignty, results of the battle that the founding fathers fought, i.e. the former president Jomo Kenyatta. May their battle, determination, and Pan-Africanism service be an example to African generations now and in the future. I also do congratulate and greet my friend Azali Assoumani, President of Comoros, President in interim for the Union African, for his leadership at the head of our organization. Ladies and gentlemen, the 60th anniversary of the independence of Kenya is in line, coincides rather with the 60th anniversary of the creation of the African Union. And how else could we, if not to choose this date in the exercise of the free trade area in Africa? We can consider this as a form of an eloge to the founding fathers who had in their spirits that trade, and not only as something for prosperity and economics, but also a factor for peace. And so the free area in Africa is one of the tools that will help to realize many projects in our Agenda 2063. I have chosen this time to say this is time to put end to fratricide wars in Sudan that is coming to add into the list of the conflicts we know in Africa, in Sahel region, in Chad Basin, in Libya, in Somalia, in the Great Lake region. Trade and peace are very well connected, intertwined in fact. And so I congratulate and thank the efforts of the Minister of Health for solving every matters in line with this free area trades, in particular that of the origins of goods. Dear ministers, you are not only workers in peace, but also messengers of peace. Your contributions to the realization of the Africa we want is highly appreciated. I congratulate you and encourage you in this work. And this meeting is an occasion for you to deepen the reflections on mechanisms to undergo in order to continue with the works, in order to have the initiative of the commerce services in the second phase, and to answer to the various challenges that may arise in the implementation of free area trade in Africa, to find a convergency and to conclude on the origin rules related to automobiles and textile. And I want to remind ourselves that June 2023 is the limit, is the date that was fixed by the heads of states in order to reach that goal, to finalize and to operationalize the customs services amongst countries, and to finish with other matters that were suspended in 5 priority sectors of our services, like during the recent meeting of the free area trade meeting that was organized in Cap in South Africa. We do then have an adequate platform in Nairobi where political leaders, leaders of industries and companies, and leaders in the private sectors and investors can together share on the special role that each and everyone should play in order to have the Africa Free Areas trade from negotiation to action. This will allow the growth of intra-African trade and stimulate intra-African investment, and put in place means to overcome the challenges that Africa is facing or has been facing over the years, especially in the area of trade and economical troubles. Ladies and gentlemen, I will want to thank the visible will of the member states present, expressed through the progressive validation of national and regional strategies of the implementation of the Africa Free Area Zone. And with this, I want to congratulate the East African community, which has organized from the beginning of the month of January, a validation workshop for the implementation of Africa Free Area Zone. And this shows that we are on the right track. However, we should continue to be focused on our objectives, on our goals, because there is so much to achieve, particularly states. States are called to continue in the service and sending their dues to the secretariats for the technical aspects and the notifications to the remaining stages. We need there to congratulate the 47 member states that have ratified the protocol, and we call that every other country in the continent should participate and share in the advantages of this regime called the Free Area Zone in Africa, Africa Free Area Zone. Let me thank once more the Republic of Kenya for being one of the pioneer countries of the initiatives of this trade, of this as a platform that was launched last October. Kenya has demonstrated legal frameworks, and which is something to congratulate through various transactions, importation and exportation in the preferential regime of Africa Free Area Trade. This exercise has allowed to have informations on the states, preparations of the legal frameworks and institutional at national levels in the participating countries to help the private sector to participate in trade in the spirit of Africa Free Area Zone trade, and also for better treatment as planned by this platform. to identify the future interventions in order to grow intra-African trade and maximize the advantages of this Africa Free Area Zone trade. Ladies and gentlemen, our continent really needs more than before an inclusive economical platform, a market open as Africa Free Area Trade Zone. This will allow free circulation of services and goods, and this will contribute to a quick growth of our economies and put end to things like plagues like food insecurity. Food insecurity and malnutrition in Africa have reached their highest level possible for the last 10 years. Since the last 10 years, West Africa and Central Africa remain to be the most affected regions, and the research revealed that the combined efforts with COVID-19, climate change has really increased the challenges in food security, and many are facing hunger in the region. According to the food security analysis of March 2023, the numbers of people who do not have regular access to good balanced diet is about 48 million during this period. June-August 2023 will be that within that period of time. It is therefore a great challenge that we can overcome through the Africa Free Area Trade Zone with concrete solutions are put in place and immediate actions to ensure change on all over the continent. This matter is a call. It is a call for the necessity to put in place a detailed plan for the development of agriculture in Africa. This will allow the exploitation of great arable land in the continent that has not yet been used. It is clear that the implementation of Africa Free Trade Area Zone will produce secondary effects like loss of revenue in the process of in the process of freeing the tariffs, and so there is need to adjust. And this was put in place and implemented in March 2023 in Rwanda, which was the host country. And this tool is here to help the private sector to adapt to the new commercial environmental aspect in line with the memorandum of understanding of the Africa Free Trade Zone, with the $10 billion that was put in place for the next 10 years for the fund to be fully operational. Afreximbank Bank has already pledged to work on this, and so the minister should work on it, on the mechanism of sensitization of resources, resource mobilization, and to evaluate the laws of wealth in various countries and what will be affected. And this is again a call to all member states to continue working for the well-being of the domestication of Africa Free Trade Area Zone protocol and its annexes. I call then all of us to put in place strategies and policies, business trade policies that will allow the private sector in various countries to benefit of the preferential regime of Africa Free Area Trade. Our continent is the new frontier of the economic development with high potentiality, the youth and the national resources. We got the means of its emergence. And the Africa Free Trade Area Zone is one of the tools that can contribute into this. It is our mission. It is your mission, especially Ministers of Commerce and Trade. I wish you a fruitful session and that you will be able to fulfill the target for the well-being of our continent. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Excellence, Monsieur le Champion. Your Excellencies, as we gather here in this room, we have Ministers of Trade whose retreat is going to be officially opened. At the same time, we have the private sector community whose private sector dialogue is also going to be officially opened. In that order, Your Excellency, President of Kenya, respectively, I would like to invite you to invite the chairperson of African Union to officially open the ministerial retreat of the Council of Ministers. And then thereafter, Your Excellency, you will address both the ministers and the private sector.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Take your seats, please. Thank you very much. On behalf of the people and government of Kenya, let me take this opportunity, Your Excellencies, President Azali Osmani, President of Comoros, and Chair of the Africa Union Summit, President Isufu, the champion of SCFTA, ministers present, our Secretary General of SCFTA, members of the private sector, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to welcome all of you to Kenya, to welcome all of you to the city of Nairobi, and to wish you very fruitful deliberations in this very important interaction between policymakers and our private sector in the context of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, a mechanism that will unlock the potential that exists for trade, for investment, for business in our continent, even as we work with the rest of the globe. Allow me, before I invite His Excellency, the President of Comoros and our Chair of Africa Union Summit, to take this opportunity just to volunteer some information to you. Number one, for those of us who are coming from the rest of this continent and beyond, Nairobi is a very interesting city. It is the only city with a national park within maybe 10, 15 minutes of drive from your hotel room. And being a national park, it is not a zoo. So we have wild animals there. We have leopards, we have lions, we have elephants, we have cheetahs. So just so that we are all safe, sometimes these wild animals break off the fence, and you might meet some of this wildlife next to your hotel room. Please be careful when, because they are not domesticated. Number two, let me also volunteer some information to you. Scientists, and I am one of them, have proven with scientific data and information that Kenya has the earliest remains of man. This is where humanity began. The Turkana boy, which is a phenomenon that is documented by science as the earliest ever found remains of human beings on planet Earth, is right here in Kenya. And therefore it is correct for me to tell all of you, welcome home. This is where we all began. And my minister has informed me that somehow some of our officials made you to pay visas to come home. And he asked me to apologize, which I do. When one comes home, they don't pay to come home. And I want to promise you that that might be the last time you are looking for a visa to come to Kenya. Because of two reasons. Number one, because this is home, and number two, because we support wholeheartedly the ACFTA, and we must remove any impediments to the movement of people around our continent. With those remarks, let me now take this opportunity to request my good brother, the President of Comoros, and the Chair of the Africa Union Summit, President Azali, to come and make his remarks. Mr. President. No, let him come. Please, please, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Permettez-moi, avant de commencer mon allocution, remercier notre cher frère
Allow me to thank my dear friend and brother
d'avoir accepté de rembourser les visas qu'on a payés ici.
who has apologized for the sake of the visa that was paid.
Et lui dire que
This is to say,
il aura à s'expliquer à mon épouse parce que moi
he
je vais
will need
perdre
to
mon
explain to my
passeport.
wife
Donc,
because
je vais
I
rester au
might
Kenya, je vais pas partir.
lose my passport. I will not go back to my country because this is home.
Monsieur le Président de la République du Kenya,
Your Excellency, sir,
mon frère
my brother,
William Ruto,
William
Excellence,
Ruto, Your Excellency,
Monsieur Mahamoud Youssouf,
Mr. Muhammad Yusuf,
cher frère,
dear
ami,
brother and friend,
ancien président de la République du Niger,
former president of the
champion
Niger
de la zone
and
de
champion
libre-échange du
of
continent africain.
Africa Free Trade Area,
Excellence, Monsieur
Your
Iberlan
Excellency
Mamfouki,
Iberla Manfubi,
président du Conseil des
President
ministres
of
de
Ministers
l'Afrique de
Council of Africa Free Area
Son Excellence,
Trade,
Monsieur
Your Excellency Mr.
Wamkelemene,
Wamkelemene,
secrétaire général de
General
la ZLCAF,
Secretary of Africa Free Area
Excellence,
Trade, Your
Messieurs les
Excellency
des États membres
Ministers
de la zone de
of
libre-échange du
member
continent
states of
africain,
Africa Free Area
Mesdames et
Trade
Messieurs
Zone
les représentants
countries, dear
secteur
representatives
africain,
of Africa,
distingués invités,
Africa
assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi
private
wa
sector,
barakatuh.
wassalamu alaikum to you all.
Je voudrais en premier
May the
lieu
Lord God bless you. First of all,
adresser à mon
I
frère
would like to
William
speak
Ruto,
to my brother William
Président
Ruto,
de la
the
République du
President of the Republic of
mes
Kenya.
très chaleureux
My
et
warm
sincères remerciements
and sincere
pour
gratitude
nous avoir invités
for
à cet
inviting
important
us to
rendez-vous
this important meeting
sur l'avenir de
on
l'économie
the
de
future
notre
of
continent.
African economy. My warmth and gratitude also go to the people and the government of Kenya for the warmth and fraternity kind of welcome that was given to me and my delegation since we arrived in this beautiful country, and for all the facilities that have been put in place for our services to ensure that this conference is a success. I also do want to thank the Secretariat of Africa Free Area Trade under the leadership of its Secretary General Wam Kelemene for the good organization of this dialogue with the Africa private sector and with the Ministers' Council within the Africa Free Area Trade, the representative of Africa private sector. I am happy to see your participation in this dialogue and your availability, which testifies the interest that you have for the development of our continent, for peace, security, and stability. Dear all, our continent is facing so many challenges in its growth towards a socio-economical development and a harmonious one. Some years back, we experienced some of the greatest crises in terms of COVID pandemic, which has destroyed so many of our economies in the countries. Today, we face the consequences of this crisis. Then there is the Ukrainian war with all the impacts that it has. We know that its impact on peace in the world, and especially food security in our beloved continent of Africa. And now we need to all come together, ensure our autonomy in all the sectors by strengthening our capacities, our production capacities, not only to avoid lack of stocks, but also to add value to our primary resources and create employment. But these objectives can never be reached without proper coordinations of our efforts in order to reach economical freedom and develop new strategies on this in order to protect ourselves, protect our countries today and in the future. And so I am very happy seeing the dialogue we have here with the private sector. This is a good platform to engage for the betterment of the implementation of Africa Free Area Trade. This dialogue is crucial because, as we all know, the private sector in the continent is very principal in the acceleration of Africa Free Area Trade, and I do believe that they own this dialogue and they will devote themselves in all the processes for a quick and successful implementation of a common project. Dear representatives of Africa private sector, we have always wanted and always had the desire to have a strengthening of capacities within the region and the continent through intra-trade and employment creation, through women entrepreneurship, youth and women entrepreneurship. This will help these said part of our populations to be alienated from any form of extremism tourism. Today, with the opportunities that the Africa Free Area Trade Zone is creating, we have space for investment and business trade among countries to bring about prosperity. It is therefore time for our leaders and you, private sector, to share in all truth in order to overcome every obstacle that hinders us from moving in an inclusive manner towards a strong and durable economic front in the continent. You do incarnate the true life, social life, and economical life of our continent with all the production, 2/3 of its investments, 3/4 of its credits, and you are employing about 90% of its population, of its dynamic population. With this, you are then a good platform for the development of our socio-economical and ecological position of our continent. Working in synergy together, we can become a catalyst for a durable economy. It is very important for Africa Free Area Trade in terms of opportunity of trade and investment. It is time to demonstrate the will to move. And for this potentiality to become fully implemented, it is very important that the Africa private sector, particularly small and medium enterprises, should own Africa Free Area Trade Zone and move with its processes. With this, I do congratulate the efforts that the Secretariat of Africa Free Area Trade has taken in partnership with the Center of International Commerce. Honorable